right, the J&J vaccine is the big news of the day, so let's get right to NBC News correspondent Heidi Przybyla in Washington, D.C. Heidi, tell us about the CDC's decision.
Right, Allison, it was a CDC advisory panel that discussed a few different options about how to put Johnson & Johnson back on the market, if at all. And they chose the most liberal option here, recommending Johnson & Johnson without any restrictions for all Americans age 18 and over. Allison, really, the debate today watching this panel was over whether to put a restriction on there or a warning label for women under the age of 50. That is the control group in which we saw this rare blood clotting condition, Allison, but in the end, the condition was so exceedingly rare. The numbers that they gave were 7 in every 1 million doses given out, that they decided that the risks of having this vaccine not available or having it rejected by some women, particularly in underserved areas, that those outweighed the actual risks of this blood clotting condition. Now, there were some dissenters. This was not a unanimous vote. It was 10 in favor, 4 opposed, and 1 abstained. And we did hear a couple of the experts on the panel afterwards say that they voted in favor of this, but they did have concerns that they wanted to make sure that the awareness is still out there for women in these age groups, and that their awareness is out there for doctors about how to treat this rare blood clotting condition, given that it should not be used, or that heparin, which is usually the frontline drug used to treat most blood clots, should not be used. And so ultimately, this could be back out on the shelves within days, if not hours. Allison, there is still a more formal process that needs to take place, which is that the FDA and CDC need to officially make this happen. But that is really just a matter of time. The CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, has already said that once this is done, once this is recommended, they're going to move pretty quickly.
Yeah, Heidi, I was going to ask what we know about sort of the process going forward. Do they need to have any more meetings? Do the FDA and CDC need to get together? Or is it more of a, we just look this over, we sign off, and this shot can get back out there?
Again, it's unclear exactly how quickly it will happen, Allison, but we are expecting it to happen most likely at the latest by early next week. And the question really is, number one, what happened with vaccine confidence in the interim, given that this was so publicized, given that this pause went on for a week and a half, whether there's going to be any kind of problem reintroducing this to the public, and what states are going to do with the doses. They were initially planning to put these Johnson & Johnson vaccine doses out onto, for instance, mobile units to go into underserved areas, to go and try and vaccinate the homeless. That most likely is still going to be the approach, and the initial polls show that this pause did not overall dent confidence in vaccines. However, when it comes to this particular vaccine, the jury is still out on how the public is going to receive it. And that's why you heard a number of those members, even ones who voted in favor of this, saying, yeah, we don't want to take this vaccine away from anyone, particularly in underserved areas, but we do want the awareness out there. For instance, women in a certain subcategories, maybe they want to get their platelets checked out before they get this particular vaccine. We'll see how practical that is in real life.
Yeah, Heidi, let's talk about that a little bit more, if you don't mind. I know you've been covering vaccine hesitancy for quite some time now. What are the concerns, and how prepared are health officials if they start rolling out the J&J vaccine and people say, no thanks? Is that really a potential problem that they're worried about?
We are entering the hardest part of this vaccination campaign, Allison. A lot of the people who wanted the vaccine have gotten the vaccine. So now we're heading into this new frontier of vaccine skeptical, vaccine resistant, or people who just don't think they need the vaccine. Those are 3 very different categories. And so you're going to have different approaches. I've spoken with state officials, and they say, for instance, with the folks in rural areas, and we know this because we can break it down by the polling, it's more conservative, evangelical, white men. What they're hoping is with them that they will go through their primary care providers, through their doctor's offices, because they are trusted community emissaries, people that they would believe if they tell them you need to take this vaccine. For instance, with the African-American community, it would be doctors as well, but also local faith groups, community-based organizations. And then when you're talking about young people who just think maybe they're invincible and they don't need to take it, guess what? Colleges are talking about making it mandatory. Not all of the colleges, but let's say you're coming back to school, you didn't get your vaccine. Well, isn't it convenient that we have this one-dose shot right here in hand? So please just give us your arm and you can come back to school in the fall.
Yeah, a lot of practical uses where the J&J shot could really come in handy. I know a lot of people would have been upset if this vaccine did not come back in use. Heidi, thanks so much for all of your reporting today. We really appreciate it.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.